The Sultan's armies were on the march. They were led by the ambitious Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha. Their target was Vienna, the glittering capital of the Habsburg Empire, a bastion of Christianity and a symbol of Western power. For centuries, the Ottomans had been expanding their reach, conquering vast swathes of North Africa, the Middle East, and southeastern Europe. Their armies, disciplined and ruthless, were unknown to taste defeat in open battle. Across the continent, from the palaces of Vienna to the villages of Bavaria, fear reigned supreme. Vienna was no stranger to conflict. For centuries, it had stood as a bulwark against invaders from the east. But the Ottoman threat was different. This was a full-scale invasion, a determined attempt to break the back of the Habsburgs and establish Ottoman dominance over Europe. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic and consequential sieges in history, a clash of civilizations that would determine the fate of empires and redraw the map of Europe. Like and subscribe now to help this channel grow. Also, let me know in the comments below what your favorite battle from history is. Thanks! Let's get back to the siege. The core of the Ottoman military was the Janissaries, an elite infantry force recruited from Christian boys and converted to Islam. They were renowned for their discipline, their loyalty, and their fighting prowess. The Janissaries were the Sultan's personal army, the most feared and respected soldiers in the Ottoman Empire. In 1683, the Ottoman war machine was unleashed on Vienna. The Sultan saw the conquest of Vienna as the key to Ottoman dominance in Europe. The Ottoman army marched west, a vast, multicolored horde of Janissaries, cavalrymen, and artillerymen. They were accompanied by camp followers, slaves, and a vast baggage train. The earth trembled beneath the hooves of their horses, the air thick with the smell of sweat, dust, and fear. Vienna in the 17th century was a city of contrasts. It was a place of great beauty and elegance, a center of art, music, and learning. Its palaces and churches rivaled those of any city in Europe. Yet, it was also a city on edge, a frontier outpost facing the constant threat of Ottoman invasion. The city was ringed by medieval walls, reinforced over the centuries to withstand the increasingly powerful artillery of the age. But Vienna's true strength lay not in its fortifications, but in its people. The Viennese were proud and resilient. They were fiercely independent and determined to defend their city. At the helm of the city's defenses was Count Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg, a veteran soldier known for his courage and determination. Starhemberg was a man of action, a no-nonsense leader who inspired confidence in his men. He knew that the odds were stacked against him, but he was determined to fight to the death. As the Sultan's army approached, Vienna braced itself for the inevitable siege. The city's bells tolled, a mournful sound that echoed through the streets. Citizens rushed to stock up on supplies, to strengthen their homes, and to prepare for the worst. On July 14th, the Ottoman army arrived at the gates of Vienna. The sight that greeted the defenders was terrifying. A vast sea of tents stretched as far as the eye could see. The air was thick with the sound of drums, the chanting of muezzins, and the neighing of horses. The siege had begun. Kara Mustafa Pasha was confident of victory and offered the Viennese a chance to surrender. He promised them their lives and their property if they opened the city gates. But the Viennese, led by the defiant Starhemberg, refused to yield. They would rather die fighting than live as slaves. The Ottomans began their siege in earnest. Their cannons, some of them the largest ever seen in Europe, pounded the city walls with relentless fury. Buildings crumbled, fires raged, and the streets ran red with blood. The Viennese fought back with equal determination, their own guns answering the Ottoman bombardment. The siege was a test of endurance, a grim struggle for survival. The defenders were outnumbered, outgunned, and running low on supplies. But they were fighting for their homes, their families, and their faith. And they were determined to hold out, no matter the cost. As the siege dragged on, conditions within Vienna deteriorated rapidly. Food and water were running low, and disease began to spread through the crowded city. The constant bombardment took a heavy toll on the defenders, both physically and mentally, yet the Viennese refused to surrender. Women and children worked alongside the soldiers, repairing the damaged walls, tending to the wounded, and keeping up morale. The city's churches became hospitals and shelters, their priests offering comfort and solace to the besieged population. The tireless commander Starhemberg was everywhere, rallying his men, directing the defense, and ensuring that the city's defenses held. He was an inspiration to his troops. His courage was a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. But as August turned into September, the situation grew increasingly desperate. The Ottomans had tunneled beneath the city walls, planting explosives in an attempt to breach the defenses. The defenders were exhausted, their numbers dwindling, their hopes fading. The situation seemed hopeless. If only their allies would come to their assistance. Masters of siege warfare, the Ottomans employed a deadly tactic against the stubborn Viennese defenders: mining. Under the cover of darkness, Ottoman engineers and laborers dug tunnels beneath the city walls, packing them with gunpowder. Their goal was to create huge explosions, collapsing the fortifications and creating breaches for their assaulting troops. The work was perilous, carried out under the constant threat of cave-ins and countermining by the Viennese. Yet the Ottoman sappers persisted, driven by the promise of victory and the fear of their commanders. The fate of the siege, it seemed, would be decided not on the battlements, but in the darkness beneath the city. On September 4th, an Ottoman mine exploded beneath the Berg bastion, creating a massive crater and sending shockwaves through the city. The defenders, though shaken, managed to hold a breach, repelling the ensuing Ottoman assault with ferocious determination. But the defenders didn't get much of a break. The Ottomans continued their mining operations, targeting other sections of the city walls. Exhausted and running low on supplies, the defenders knew that they could not withstand another major explosion. Time was running out for Vienna. As dawn broke on September 12th, the Polish king, John III Sobieski, arrived with his formidable army. The sight of his troops bolstered the spirits of the beleaguered defenders of Vienna. Sobieski's arrival was not just timely, it was the turning of the tide in this epic siege. The battle that ensued was nothing short of legendary. Kara Mustafa led his trusted Ottoman forces in a fierce clash with the combined armies of the Holy League. The air was thick with the sounds of war, the clash of swords, and the cries of soldiers. It was a brutal and relentless confrontation, a true clash of titans. The decisive moment came when Sobieski led a daring cavalry charge breaking through the Ottoman lines. This bold move shattered the morale of the Ottoman troops and turned the tide in favor of the defenders. The siege of Vienna was lifted, marking a significant turning point in European history. The siege of Vienna stands as a testament to the resilience and unity of the European forces. The bravery and strategic brilliance displayed during this historic event continued to inspire Europe for centuries. The victory not only saved Vienna, but also halted the Ottoman expansion into Europe. It was a moment when the course of history was altered, shaping the future of Europe for centuries to come. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Trot Historia to continue learning from the annals of history.